Hi, the purpose of this video is to demonstrate this Lightning Web component that I've developed called Badge Panel, the thing in the red border here. Its main purpose, the Lightning Web component or LWC, is to bring attention to fields of a record that a user is on. For example, I've got a contact open here, Mr. George Lee, and straight away you can see at the top, before even going to the details, their name, email address, and the fact that they've clicked do not call on here on a checkbox, and colors and icons. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. You see it's got fancy icons, and they're the type of things you can configure in this component. So the video is to show you from scratch how to get the code for this that I've developed, add it to a Salesforce project, and deploy it to your org. You may be an administrator who's looking to get into code, a developer who's interested in a few little techniques. So this is for you. Full disclosure, this LWC is not my idea. There is an app on the App Exchange that does exactly this and does look like this with a little bit more functionality. I've downloaded and used that, and very thankful to the developers who made that free of charge, and it's a managed package. You don't get to see the code. So I had a few little problems, which is fine. It's a free app, so I decided to develop my own, and hopefully others in the Salesforce community can get some use out to it. So full call out to those guys. So this is what it looks like. Let's see how to get it into your org. So first thing I'll do, I've put this Lightning Web component in a GitHub repo. I'll include the link to that. So that's my repo. The only thing I ask is that it does have a license file, which is a MIT open source license, that you include that license file in any of your source code. But if you do that, feel free to use it any way you want to, how you see fit. You're good to go there. So let me show you one way how to get this into your project. So you've got this open here. I want to download the component. Go to this green button, code, click on that, and you can download the zip of all the files that are needed. So it downloads to my downloads folder. You see in the panel below, I've done that a few times, obviously. So let's double click on that, extract it. So it's basically everything under this badge panel main. So let me go to my VS Code. So here I already have an SFDX project that I've created and pushing code to an org, so I can push components there. If you're not familiar with this, there are plenty of tutorials, but if you go to the fantastic trailhead that Salesforce provides, something like creating your first Lightning Web component, they'll show you how to create an SFDX or Salesforce DX project and be able to push code to a development environment or sandbox or whatever. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. So underneath, so if I go to my LWC folder, I've already created a badge panel. LWC is where you can create your and keep your Lightning Web components. I've already created a folder, so go and create a folder. Badge panel would be fantastic. And I'll just select these files and drag them over to badge panel. They're copied over. That's all that is needed there, that now you have a Lightning Web component. Let me make this screen bigger, my VS Code. I have a Lightning Web component here called badge panel with all the files needed. And one thing to point out, I've also created some tests for this in badgepanel.test.js. So, and to show you this is actually live, I go to my terminal down here. I'm going to run all the tests in my org, which these are the only ones I have, all the Jest tests, and you'll see I've got 100% coverage, so that's something. Go and have a look at these tests. You might find something interesting there. So now I wanted to deploy this to my org, as simple as right-clicking over here, deploy source to org. So that's deploying to my sandbox, my development environment actually. So that ran successfully. I'm going to use VS Code, the Salesforce extensions, bottom here left, and I'm going to open my org that I have connected. Let's open this, and I'll go to the Sales Cloud app just because I can. And I've been working on some records. The one I got my screenshot from, George Lee. So here's George Lee, and I want to add the component to this. So the first thing we will do is edit the Lightning record page. I'll just do it directly here. Go into the Lightning app builder. Plenty of instruction on how to do this on Trailhead, as I said. Sorry, the text is a bit small in the actual builder. I can't make that bigger. So if I go down the left here, because I've deployed it, now I have underneath custom, I have badge panel. So I can just grab that and put it wherever I want it. I'm going to put it above details here. So straight away you see that badge panel sitting here, and it's already pulled in a badge. Now the configuration of it is over here on the right hand side. So that is the target config properties in your Lightning. Actually, I will show you that. So in the meta setup of the component, we have these target config properties here where I list field names, icons, colors. That is what we are seeing on the right here. And so I have some default values. So I've said my first badge, because most objects do have a name field. I know not all of them do, but most of them do. So we've got, so what this is saying is pull the name field in and display it in the badge panel, whatever's on that record, the icon to use, what color, it's really a style of badge to use. And the mode. So if you hover over the information of all of them, they will show you, the text of what that field is for, what the configuration is for. So valid values here, it says a label, value, or both. Label is going to give you the label, obviously, of that field. Value, the value of it, but both will bring across the label and field. So we'll show you what that looks like when we configure this. And probably can't see that, but it's just the because it says label, it says full name, and I'm not too excited about that, so I'm going to change that one to value. Save it. Let's go back to the record. Actually, I'm going to duplicate this. So we've got one we can do in the builder and one we can see. So you'll see George Lee here's because that's a value of name. Doesn't give us a lot because we've already got, we can see George Lee up the top. So let's go and configure that further. Edit the page again. So I have some pre-cooked values to put in here. So I'm going to put in 4 different fields. Let me click on the component. I'm going to put, as well as name, I'm going to put 3 extra fields in there. So if I navigate away from that field, it's going to render again. You can't really see it, but there are 3 showing. Now I've put 4 in there. One is a checkbox that's not selected, so it's not displaying, and they're not styled yet. So let me add some styles in. Well, first thing, what icons? I'll put 4 icons in there. The colors, or the style of the badge, and you'll see I'm using success, default, error, and warning, and I will show you where you can see what that actually means, and then I will put in whether we're showing the value, the label, or both, and I'll save that. Go back to my George Lee and refresh him, and you'll see the 3 badges that have come up there. So the name, we said we wanted both on there. Actually, I put both in. Let's go back. Let's make that one just value. Save it. Refresh. So his name's come up with the tick icon. email, which was there before in the screenshot, and also we've got do not call. You'll see that is checked down there. And this is the type of thing you can do. You can make it red to really stand out, and the icon got a straight through the phone, so that's pretty cool. Now the other field that I put in there to configure for the badge panel is does not like carrots. So I'm going to go and check that. Save. And you'll see straight away that's come up, an extra badge has come up, and I selected, what was that fourth one? It was a warning color. So the warnings come up. I liked it because it was orange like a carrot, and I've got a wand here. It's the closest thing. It's sort of the closest thing I can get that looks like a carrot. So there's my artistic ability on full display there. So hopefully you can see the power of the badge panel. Let's go and have a look at the actual code and see if there's anything I can show you in there. Back to the code, okay. The HTML file itself, pretty simple, and the power of it here is on line 12. This is where we use the base component lightning badge. Its properties are being set in the JavaScript file depending on what you've configured. What else can I say about this? I've put this all within a div, which is basically taking the place of a lightning card, which is a base component, but I couldn't style it enough to where I wanted it, the height and certain things about it. So I've just created a div and used some classes in here, but it actually says I just want to use a card, just the body of the card. If that doesn't make sense, no problem at all. The only other thing I want to point out here, and I've put this in the documentation, readme I think somewhere, is that I do have an error div here, an error template to display an error if any errors are detected. And I've said probably the best thing is to go and implement the error panel, which you can find in the Lightning Web Component Recipes. I think it's called LWC Recipes repo. It's referenced a lot of places in Trailhead, but basically if you use their component, add it to your project, and just put it in here, it should just work. Otherwise, you're just going to get a text message. That's how I've left it default, but please go and implement your own error panel there. I also implemented what's called a styling hook from the Lightning design system, the Salesforce Lightning design system. And that is a few little tricks that I used, how to display the icon and the badge if the badge is text is inversed. That probably didn't make any sense, but if you look here, the red one is white text with a white icon. The orange one is black text, make it bigger again, with a black icon, and it was a way of inversing that icon. So there's a few little tricks there using those styling hooks. That actually reminds me of how do we know what to put in for icons and the color of the badges. That is in the Lightning design system. If you start developing LWCs, you will start realizing the Lightning design system is very important or very handy to style them the way you want them to look. So those icons are all contained on this page, which is in the source code. If you look in the target configs for icon, you'll see the help of the URL, how to get here. And this is where I found these icons. You'll see utility icons. So the name of the icon, for instance, is Utility Success, the first one. If I go back to the icons, search for success, if I can type, you'll see that's the first one there. So Utility Success. That's where we get the icons. The styling of the badges themselves is under badges for the actual components in the Lightning design system, and they're listed here. So make it bigger again. Default, darker, lightest, success, warning, error. So they are the ones you saw me configure. The warning was the orange one, so you just have to put in success, default, error, warning examples in there, and they are listed in here, and you don't have to worry about the actual styling and classes that they use to get this badge. That is what's done in the actual code. So that's all handled in the JavaScript here, depending on what you've selected, configured. It will configure those styles for you. So feel free to go and look at this code, change it, and use it how you need it. I think that's all I have to show you about this Lightning Web component. So as I said, feel free to use it, and my contact details, maybe make comments on this YouTube video or contact me on Twitter if you've got any questions, or I'd really love to know if you also use it as well. So thanks for your time, and definitely good luck with that.